Over the last couple of months, I've been noticing more and more a trend of newer creators trying to force monetization on their content before it would naturally occur on whatever platform they're on. In this video, we're going to be talking about why that's probably not the best idea and how it could actually be harming the development of your channel or brand, and also have a little bit of a chat about when the best time to start trying to monetize is and how you might want to go about doing that. Hello and welcome to the Content Academy. My name's Kevin Chapman. I've been a full-time content creator for the last 5 years, and this channel is all about helping you improve your content so you can hopefully start making a few quid out of it as well. If that sounds like the sort of thing that you're interested in, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on so you don't miss out on any future videos. And of course, I would appreciate if you leave a nice big thumbs up on the video if you've enjoyed it or you get any value out of it, because it really does help get the video out in front of more people, helps grow the channel, all that kind of good stuff. But I mentioned in my little intro there, money, and that's the topic of today's video, specifically what I'm seeing as a growing trend of people trying to monetize too soon. I don't know if it's just something that's unique to the niches that I occupy or if it's part of a wider issue within content creation in general. But what I mean by monetizing too soon is people with YouTube channels who start Patreons before they've even been accepted into the YouTube partner program, before they've hit the criteria to monetize their YouTube videos with Google AdSense. They're trying to get their viewers to donate to them via a Patreon, or people who haven't yet been accepted into the Twitch affiliate or partner programs who are asking for donations rather than waiting until they're eligible for Twitch subs and bits and that kind of thing. And while I completely understand the thinking behind it, obviously content creation at any level takes an incredible amount of work, commitment, and it can be difficult, especially if you're coming from a background where you're used to exchanging your time for money. It can be very difficult to switch up into a mindset of content creation where, for almost all of us, we have to work a long time, really hard, without any kind of financial return until we get to the point where we do start making a little bit of money. And then even then, we never reach a point where we know if we do X amount of work, we'll get X amount of money. It's a very variable and fluctuating income. It's a very unpredictable way to try and earn a living, but it's equally as frustrating when you're just starting out and you just, you might have bought yourself a camera or some fancy lighting or a new computer to be able to edit on it. For a start, I don't recommend you buy too much of that stuff to begin with. I usually would recommend when you're starting out a channel, stick with the stuff that you've got and only start making upgrades to your setup once you're earning enough money to pay for the upgrades, which again brings us back to trying to monetize as quickly as possible. I think what you have to be wary of with monetization is the big players, the companies, YouTube, Twitch particularly, they deliberately have things set up so you can't just monetize from the word go. It's partly because they want to be able to vet people before they agree to let them monetize, because otherwise you could get people opening a new channel and uploading a load of hate speech and putting adverts on it, and it causes all kind of problems. So by having the criteria that YouTube have of 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, or Twitch's criteria, which I think certainly when I became a partner, you had to have X amount of hours with more than, I think, 100 people, 100 concurrent viewers or something along those lines. Again, it allows Twitch to check out your stream, make sure that you are the kind of person they want to be giving money to, because ultimately if you're monetizing through Twitch or through YouTube, these companies are paying you, and they don't want to be in a situation where they're paying some of the famous bad actors that we always hear about when we talk about bad stuff like that happening in social media. But the thing I think we have to remember as creators is that viewers know those restrictions are there as well. They know that we're not earning money straight away when we start a new channel. For example, this channel isn't even monetized yet. Although we've got, at the time of recording, about 7,000 subscribers, this is only like the 8th video coming out on the channel. I haven't yet hit the 4,000 hours of watch time. So this channel isn't monetized. But you'll also notice I'm not asking you to join my Patreon through this channel. I'm not asking for donations through this channel. I don't have a merch store set up on this channel. I don't have channel memberships on this channel. And that is all a conscious decision on my part, because I think viewers know that new creators can't monetize straight away. And I think if they see a creator who is new, is only just starting out, maybe a couple of months into their content creation journey, if a viewer notices that you're trying to monetize through other means before you can earn it the way everyone else had to earn it, through AdSense or Twitch subs or that kind of thing, it can give the wrong impression. And the last thing you want to have your viewers or potential viewers thinking is that you're in it for the famous wrong reasons, i.e. you're in it to make money rather than because of the love of what you do. Now, being really cynical about this, ultimately anyone who's ever opened a merch store, anyone who's ever enabled adverts on their videos or subscriptions on their streams, as soon as you make it possible for people to give you money or for you to earn money through other means, it's very difficult to say you're not in it for the money, because if you weren't in it for the money, just don't monetize. So at some level, everyone who's ever monetized is in it for the money, but that's not how it's seen to viewers. Viewers have very clear ideas in their mind, or form very clear ideas relatively early on in a relationship with a creator, whether or not that person is doing it because they love it or they're doing it because they just want to squeeze as much money as possible out of their audience before moving on to something new. And if you leave an audience with that second impression, it's really, really difficult to change their mind afterwards. And that's why I wouldn't be too keen to force additional monetization too early on in the process, especially if it's monetization that involves your viewers giving you money, whether it's through donations or subscriptions or merch sales or anything like that. I would avoid doing anything like that at all, at the very least, until you've got some other source of income off the back of your content creation first. I would never want to be in a position where my biggest source of income or my only source of income was people who watch my content giving me money, because at a moment's notice, just like that, they could stop giving you money. If you think content creation is unpredictable and it's a roller coaster ride of income, it is at the best of times. But the more you rely on donations and money from your viewers, the more up and down and random it becomes, and the even more difficult it becomes to predict. So I wouldn't ever want to get in the position. I think it's a good rule of thumb to have, to always make sure that if you are taking donations, if you are taking subscriptions, that's all fine and good. I do it myself on both of my other channels. But what I wouldn't ever want to do is get in a position where that's the majority of the income from that channel. If the majority of the income that I'm making is from people just handing it to me because they like me or like what I'm doing, that to me is setting off some alarm bells that maybe there's something wrong with the business itself if the only way it can generate money is through people handing it to me as if I was a charity. So bearing that in mind, I would never start any kind of donation, crowdsourcing, anything like that until I was already earning some money through another source, which usually when you're first starting out would be advertising revenue or maybe brand deals if you're a little bit further into things. So we've covered why you shouldn't be trying to monetize too early. We've looked at some of the ways you can monetize when the time comes. And I suppose before we wrap things up on this video, we need to look at when that time actually does come. And I think you have to be very much led by your own audience with this kind of stuff. Pretty much any kind of monetization, certainly any crowdsourced monetization I've ever done, has always been led by the viewer. What I mean by that is I started Twitch because people asked me to start Twitch. I enabled Twitch subs because people asked me to enable Twitch subs. I added channel memberships on my YouTube channel because people asked for another way to support me. I added a Patreon because people were saying, Kev, is there somewhere I can donate money to you? There are always people out there who will want to help out, and I would always wait until they actually ask to help out before creating the way for them to do it. I've seen a few examples recently of people saying stuff along the lines of, so many people have asked for a way to help out with my channel, so I've started a Patreon. Here's the link. You click on the Patreon. It's got 0 people backing it. And it's just clear that, well, so you've just outright lied to your audience then, because if there were people asking you to set this up, surely the first thing you do when you set it up is tell those people you've done it, and then they'll go and subscribe to it. And at that point, you can then let the rest of the world know that it happened. I never mentioned my Patreon to anybody until there were already people on the Patreon, because the only people who got access to the Patreon initially were the people who asked. The first person who asked, that's when I set it up. The next person who asked, here's the link again. And then a little bit further on, once you've got a little bit of momentum on there, that's when I started to open it up more widely to people. With any merchandise runs that I've done, I've never gone through the thought process of, I really want to sell some stuff to people, so let's create some merch and give it to them and then try and hard sell it. Every piece of merch I've ever done has been reverse engineered. People have asked for the merch and then I've gone and figured out how to do it. So I've done a lot of football shirts through my Football Manager channels, and the very first football shirt I did, I didn't have a clue how to do football shirts. We talked about it on stream about how we could possibly do them. And one of the members of the community is actually the one who designed it for me, reached out and found a manufacturer for me, and talked me through the process of how I could actually do it. I didn't have a clue. It was one of my viewers who said, Kev, this is what we want. This is how you do it. We talked about it on stream. I said, if we do this, do you actually want it? And it was a pretty resounding yes. If you do that, we want it. So at that point, I made it possible for people to buy the shirts. And at that point, that's when I made them available to other people. So people who maybe hadn't been involved in that initial discussion could then get on board as well. It's the same with the other t-shirts that I've done. It's the same with everything. I even did a towel with my dog's face on at one point because someone wanted to buy a towel with my dog's face on it. We sold exactly one of those. Someone asked for it, so I made it. And I think this is the first time I've mentioned it since, because it's such a weird, niche, ridiculous product that I was never going to tweet out 3 times a day saying, hey, guess what? We've got our exclusive new dog towels available. Building a brand long term is all about building trust with your audience, building community. If you build trust and produce good content, the money will come all on its own. If your focus is on making the money rather than the content and the trust, what you'll find is you very quickly lose the trust, at which point it doesn't matter how good your content is, because if your audience don't trust you anymore, you're not going to make any money because they're not going to give you any because they don't trust you. So focus on building up a good reputation, building that trust, proving that you're a nice person who's in it for the right reasons. And trust me, so cheesy, but trust me, if you do it that way, if you do it the right way, people will come to you with ideas for ways they can give you money, which you can then turn into other things. You shouldn't ever have to be in a situation where you're sitting there coming up with ideas for how you can gouge a few more pounds out of your audience and then trying to do the hard sell on people, because if you do that, it just isn't going to work and it's just going to turn people off. And what you'll find is you'll end up with fewer people even watching your videos, because as soon as they lose the trust for you, they probably won't like you anymore. And if they don't like you, they're not going to watch your videos. So this is where it kind of links into what I said right at the start, that you can actually find that if you do try and push monetization too early, you can actually find you're hampering the growth of your channel, or even killing your channel before it can even get up and running. Because if you start something new, you might have one really good video that comes out, you get a little bit of notice, and you immediately try and monetize that with, I don't know, a giveaway that people have to pay to enter, or how is that a giveaway? Or a Patreon when all you've ever done is one video, or whatever else it might be. The next video you have to pay to get access to, anything like that. That will kill off any momentum you've got and ruin your brand before it gets going. Build your brand first, focus on building a good reputation, focus on adding value and entertaining your audience. Give them the world for free, and there will be enough of them who think, you know what, this guy's giving me fantastic value for nothing in return. I want to give him something in return, and they'll find a way to do it. And it's how I've always run my business. Every piece of content I ever produce is available to everyone for free, forever. And I do pretty well out of Twitch subs and channel memberships and Patreon and donations and merch sales. And although they don't make up more than half of what I earn, it probably makes up about a third of what I earn each month is coming from that kind of crowdsourced income that is all led by the audience. And I think good value based on the fact that they still get all my content for free regardless. And people seem pretty happy with that arrangement. And that brings us to the end of the video. It's been a different kind of video today. Let me know what you think of the more sort of conversational, chatty, wise old Kev gives you his tidbits of advice that we've done today. It hasn't really been it's not really been a tutorial as such, more a lesson in lesson isn't even the right word, a conversation about mindset and strategy and that kind of thing. I do want to do more stuff like this on the channel whilst maintaining the mix between, basically I want to use this channel to give you everything that you need to be able to make a successful career as a content creator. And for that, you don't just need the tutorials, you don't just need the lists of hardware, you also need the stuff that makes sure that the mindset is right, because if you don't go into content creation with the right kind of mindset, you'll fail, because that's just how it is. You have to be ready for everything that this way of living can throw at you. And this is certainly a lesson that you have the potential to learn the hard way fairly early on. And if you really mess up doing this kind of stuff, it's very difficult to recover from. So hopefully it's been helpful. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts on what I've had to say today. If you disagree, feel free to get a conversation going down on there, or come and find me on Twitch. I stream 4 nights a week on Twitch, Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. The link is down in the description. I'm happy to have this conversation in a little bit more depth over there. This video itself actually came off the back of a discussion we had over on Twitch, and several of the videos that we've done now have appeared exactly in that way. If we have an interesting discussion over there, it probably means it'll be an interesting video over here. So hopefully you have enjoyed it. If you have, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, all that kind of good stuff. And thank you very much for watching.